Welcome to the podcast of Terrace Consulting.
Welcome to another episode of the podcast Terrace Consulting. I have the pleasure today of having Riccardo Belfiore, Cluster Revenue Manager of the Puente Romano, Marbella Club at the Lodge, and the Nobu Hotel, all in the Marbella area. Riccardo, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Pablo?
Good. Thanks so much. Thank you for giving us some of your time to share your experience and to talk about your evolution from your beginning in the industry. I mean, you're still young, but it's been quite an impressive career. So I wanted you to share with the whoever is listening and also talk about the market, how things are going, and some tips for young ones, as we usually do, the pattern of the question. So first things first, I'd like to ask you, why did you choose this career? Why hospitality? And then within the hospitality, why revenue?
Okay, so, well, I mean, it's been an interesting journey. So actually hospitality is, it's always been sort of since I was younger, like a dream to explore, right? And isn't it what our industry is about in the end? It's about, traveling, exploring, meeting new cultures, staying in new places. And so that's how I chose the career. And I studied languages. So after when I finished uni, sort of it was like, what can I do, right? Because apart from teaching, well, what can I do? So it was sort of a natural steps to go into the travel industry as a whole, and particularly where I started was in aviation. So as cabin crew. I worked for Emirates, so it was quite an impressive journey with them. Definitely, I fulfilled my dream there with them because you could travel lots of places very fast. But while working, I realized perhaps I wanted to try something steadier, so to speak. So hotels was a natural step. And coming from aviation, from being a cabin crew, possibly something frontline with the customer, so with the guests. So I attended sort of a specialization training in a course in Italy that was about front office management, because that's what I thought was sort of the natural step forward. During that training is when I first learned about revenue management, and I was really impressed of what world can be behind just the rates of the hotel and the distribution, the whole commercial part, right? So that's what I thought. Okay, that's actually what I want to do. But again, the course was about front office, so I started in this department, and I really enjoyed it as well. I always had the aim of moving into revenue. So basically I moved from front office to reservations, and there I progressed learning about distribution, etc., up until I became a revenue manager. So quite a journey, yes, and very interesting. It's nice to have sort of the two sides of the same story, which is frontline with the customer, but also behind the scene, more of a strategic role. So really nice. It's the good thing about this industry. It gives you so many possibilities, right? There's so many areas you can work in, and it's amazing.
True. That's a very good point. And also one I like to point out to the younger generations, that they seem to be focused too much on hotels, reception. No, there's loads of different roles within a hotel. One very important one, obviously, revenue. You mentioned distribution, you mentioned strategy, not that much into analysis or Excel. So, I mean, you're coming from facing customers, like aviation, you were in the front office. So what do you like the most on both? So facing customers in reception, for example, or strategy in revenue? What is the best of both sides?
I think both jobs have their ups and downs, their perks and their bad things, so to speak. In reception, or as I was coming through, something I miss till these days is that sort of day-to-day work as a machine, as part of a team. It doesn't mean now I don't work as part of the team. I do, of course, but it's sort of a different vibe, right? Because you're with the customer, it's a customer-facing team rather than again, a back office team. Still a team, but it's the dynamic, the day-to-day tasks are more dynamic, if I can say. But on the other hand, I think the revenue part, the strategic part, it's really on the other hand quite enjoyable, because you think forward, right? You always think about the future. Some people were asking me, like, how come you're working during the lockdown? And I used to answer, because I work for the future. I don't work for today. So that's one of the perks of the strategic role. It's more, like, you look into the future, you want to shape it, you try to shape it, and that's when something succeeds, your strategy, your vision, etc. It's very rewarding. So it's two very different areas. There, the rewards, I think, is more of, like making someone happy, making their stay or their journey or the trip up in the air enjoyable as much as you can, and that is rewarding as well. And on the other hand, you got the rewards in a strategic role, that you share your vision, your strategy, you make it a success, hopefully, and that's quite rewarding as well.
So the front office is more like a short-term customer in front of you, enjoying the stay, for example, and the revenue is more mid-term, long-term, achieving those.
I would say so. I don't want to offend anyone. I don't hope nobody gets offended. Of course, front office, from the point of view of room allocation, probably like a supervisory role, as more needs to have to shape sort of the room allocation, etc. for the future. Needs to work on some objectives. I don't know, when I was in Hilton, was a lot about the enrollments on new customer, upsells, having targets, etc. So yes, there is some of a strategic part. But many times it was the day ended on the day, and then tomorrow is a completely new day, and that's good, and that's nice as well, because it's like no day is exactly as the other one. Again, doesn't mean that the revenue it is, but it generally is more predictable. let's say.
Actually, that's what I wanted to ask you next. It's about how is the daily life of a corporate revenue manager? I mean, you're managing at the end of the day 4 different properties. So how is that usual 9 to 5 sort of office job?
Pre-pandemic or post-pandemic?
Let's say that in a normal scenario, right?
In a normal scenario. So in a normal scenario, well, first thing I would say, which is a simple task, but it is paramount, it's having a look at the availability, right? Is what's going on. I mean, obviously you cross-check the different things, your pickup report, your daily reports, but also you just open the PMS, have a look at your availability, because that's in the end what you're selling. Sometimes there are, I tend to think the Paretto law really works for this job as well. So you do, I think you get 80% of your result with 20% of the task you do, and that 20% you can never miss. And one of those tasks is make sure on your hiding mandates your availability is clean, you got straight line availability, people can move through, etc. It's paramount. I can really see as I've seen it in any hotel I worked, how can really make a difference in terms of making more money or having an upside, right? Like reaching your AGI target, etc. So again, a simple task, but quite important. Obviously, you monitor again demand versus your pace compared to last year. Last year is not relevant in these days, but I compare with 2019. And versus the rates, of course, your competitor are selling at the same time. So again, you cross-check different things. And as I said, that's I mean, those they might look like simple tasks, but they are really, truly important. Then obviously there are many things that go on during the day, emails, reloadings, for any property, marketing comes up with a promotion, you need to load it, distribute it. Another important task, which I really enjoy, it's because it's quite mathematical, it's the studying group displacement. So for the future, you review your forecasting your revenue management system, so you can spot your high demand dates, and then post-pandemic, I would say, apart from all these things, all your reports, because this job is a lot about reports. You got your daily, your weekly, your monthly, your quarterly, your yearly, so your biannual, I don't know. It's a lot of reports, but I really like it. That's why you mentioned about Excel, and some people think you possibly can do without it. And to be honest, I don't think so. Yes, technology move forward, you got your systems, etc. But sometimes to visualize what's going on, you put your number in a spreadsheet, you can really spot a trend. And so I think to these days, you still need to have a knowledge of Excel to do this job. And then, as I would say, post-pandemic is a lot about, I think, adapting, so spotting new trend, new possibilities, something that can give you that edge versus the other competitor, because let's face it, there's not enough demand for everyone these days. So it's I think it's quite competitive. But I mean, hopefully we'll get to the normal day-to-day life soon. Yeah, that's a typical day. Then it's a lot of meetings as well, weekly meeting for a property, then for the other ones, but quite enjoyable at the same time. You need to deliver, to share what's going on with everyone.
Good. Sounds like enjoyable. It's good. You mentioned before about commercial. Now you also mentioned about marketing and promotions. How do you set that relation between the revenue role and commercial and marketing? Are they working together enough? Are you seeing an evolution or getting closer?
They need to work together. Yes, I think I'm lucky enough that in my environment there's a lot. There's a good communication, good teamwork in that sense. And yes, I think I know. Perhaps you think about the revenue manager or director of revenue as a commercial role. It is a commercial role. You need to. I think you. I mean, a typical example, I think, when you think about commercial, sometimes, I don't know, complimentary rooms, press stay or things like this. To most revenue manager, it's quite it can be quite a pain, especially on high demand dates, and it is to me as well. I'm not gonna lie, but I think the commercial vision is, moving forward, that complementary room perhaps gives you, or the vision is that has a big return, and you're building for the future. So it's not just mathematics, right? So you need to have that commercial mind, of course. I mean, obviously, when you look after revenue, normally you look after the distribution as well, the loading of your rates in your distribution channels, etc. So yes, again, it is a commercial role. I heard of people thinking that it can even substitute perhaps, you know, the classical director of sales or sales and marketing. I don't, to be honest, I don't think so. I think it's roles that they need to work together. But I think the revenue guide shouldn't lose at the same time, apart from the commercial, you know, vision again, but should lose the focus on the mathematics either at the same time. So you need to have the guy that sort of has the squares, and then when you want to smooth the angles, then you can, but you still need to have a clear, you know, sort of directions in terms of you know, what can be and what cannot be. So yeah, it is a commercial role. It needs to work with marketing definitely, and with sales. But it's three important roles that are intertwined, and I think it will continue to be so for the future.
Good to hear. Now, pandemic, sorry, but I have to ask you, getting out of it, urban hotels, city, corporate hotels, my struggle, lesser hotels, which are mainly your portfolio, are expected to recover faster. Is that what you see as well from your point of view?
I think so. I think vacation hotels, especially in locations that are not super overcrowded, have a competitive edge in this sense with the pandemic. Urban is more, it will come back later. I think it's just natural with the nature of the crisis. It is, right. I cannot picture myself going to London at this point in time, for example, and be squashed in the tube. Doesn't mean that I do not want to do so, though. I mean, I wish I could return to London as soon as possible, but it just, perhaps it's just a perception, but it just probably what people think they are safer, you know, in different type of destinations. So I think so. I think vacational is coming back already, and will come back a bit earlier than urban. But again, as I mentioned, even myself, I really need the trip into the big city. So hopefully it will be soon. So finger crossed.
We are able very, very soon. Now, usually the hospitality industry hasn't been famous for investing much in technology, or is not an early adopter. Again, I'd like to know your view on that.
Well, it really depends, you know, because I think I've been lucky enough that wherever I've been, there was quite an openness to investing into technology. I'm talking about revenue management systems. I'm talking about business intelligence tools, and the second one, the latter. I think it's just as important as revenue management systems, because many PMS, and the most famous ones, not gonna say any name, but they're not really very sales, commercial, revenue friendly in terms of giving you the information you need sometimes. So business intelligence tools, again, are just as important. And I had the luck to implement one, and I'm super happy with it. Again, I don't want to say names, but I would say maybe it's just me that I've been very lucky, but in my context, there is quite an openness to the investment in technology. Let's face it, we are in 2021. And it's super important, because otherwise you're left behind, and you can make, important decision. Again, you can miss opportunity without investing in technology. Let's face it, you will miss opportunities. So it's super important. In general, if the industry does invest in technology, could be. My suggestion to anyone listening is that it is important. It is really important. Otherwise, you definitely miss opportunity. Let's think about just, integrations, for example. I've worked in some context in the past where reservation didn't not integrate automatically, and just a simple thing is just not to save amount of work to the reservation department, but it's your real-time availability that is already a competitive edge, especially in high demand dates. So no, paramount, super important.
That's a good point. Like means opportunities, it means revenue at the end of the day. So that's how important it is. Another point about training and development of teams in general. Do you see hotels moving in the right direction, or still there could be more that could be done as an industry in terms of developing the talent?
Again, this will depend obviously in the company. I know that generally in chains there is a clear setup for learning and development or progression, but even independent hotels, and again, be lucky enough, it's perhaps you need to be a bit more proactive. Let's say there is this course or there is this conference. I think it's important because this and this and that. If you can justify, I never had any hurdle in that sense. So again, I feel lucky. I'm sure I'm a lucky person in that sense. But yes, that is important too. Just as important as technology, your staff is your first point of contact with clients, and commercially as the people that eventually are going to make you more money or make you lose less when situation is bad. So again, another very good point for you and very important. I possibly these days many companies are cutting on that or holding on, and I think it's understandable. But for the future, yeah, it is important. The training and development is part of the the budgeting process as it is in many companies.
Okay, noted as well. Now imagine that you have someone who just finished that it's interested in studying anything to do with hospitality. So why will that person should be interested in revenue? So how would you make that person interested in revenue?
That's a hard question, because I think honestly I had both, like I explain it with passion, and I had both type of reaction. One was like not for me, yeah. numbers are no. Bad, really bad reaction, or really passionate. I want to learn a bit more about this and that. Or well, I had the first reaction as well. Someone who said, "This is all very interesting. Not for me, but it's amazing that there is such thinking behind the management of hotel rates and strategy, etc. So someone, how can it be interested in revenue? I think I'm afraid it needs to have it inside, otherwise he would never catch his
okay. So let me rephrase it then. So what kind of skills would that person need to have to succeed in revenue? Let's put it like that.
That's a different question then. That's a different question then. Well, I would say I would say curiosity. It's the desire to understand, because sometimes, you know, you get your trends, your number, your pickups, you get lost in all these numbers. What does it mean, right? Sometimes what does it mean? What are the numbers telling you? So, and you start digging. What happened here? Why is the ADR or the wrap up, whatever the agile in this particular day like this, and when it should be like that, etc. You start digging and digging, and you find answers. Perhaps that was the particular booking of the particular agency. So, does it replicate? Is it a recurring pattern? Does it replicate in the future, in the next week or next year, or whenever? So, I think it's the curiosity, you know, to trying to find out. And even before the BI tool with the PMS, you know, sometimes it was a bit of a fight trying to get the information out of it. And you learn a lot about Excel yourself without any training, because you ultimately become the trainer yourself if you want the answers. And then it's about, I think, what can I do to make an impact, to have an edge, to make more revenue. What can I do apart from the usual things? Is this something we're missing? So you spot perhaps an opportunity, you build on it. Yeah, I don't want to give you any specific example, but I implemented a way for the revenue management system. I mean, it was there, the module, but it's an extra module you need to purchase. But also the configuration is a bit complicated for, you know, interconnecting room, for example, if you got many. Sometimes I think there in many trials I've seen they'll be overlooked. But you can build a strategy on it as well. Again, there are many things that sometimes are not explored, and you get caught up in your day-to-day. So it is curiosity is important because it gives you something to project on, to think about.
No, that's good. I like it. Curiosity, to keep yourself awake and eager to learn. And that's a great one. Last question. Now we have a lot of students, be it university or different studies, that might be demotivated because they are getting to a business that is really going through a big crisis now. So what would you tell those young guys or girls who are in that position now, that need to get into the business world and the working environment, and there aren't many jobs available at the moment?
Are you talking about specific studies for hospitality, or?
Yeah, sorry, I meant hospitality. Yeah, go into so they are studying hospitality, tourism, or business hospitality management. And
I mean, I would have a message of hope for them, because it's true there are not that many jobs at the moment. There are some, 100%. I've seen them. So there are some opportunities, but yeah, not that many as there can be. But I'm 100% sure the industry will bounce back enormously in the next couple of years, perhaps. Let's say, like, I don't want to sound too optimistic, but by 2023, I think the industry will be back where it was. And actually there will be, I always hear in all these webinars about the pent-up demand, right? The pent-up demand after the pandemic. Everybody talks about pent-up demand, and I think it's true. I think that me, myself, I'm crazy to travel again, and everybody will be. So the industry, if anything, will come back even stronger than it was before, where it had already reached its peak already in 2019. So I think we will take it from there in a year and a half or two, top and maximum. And so be patient, possibly keep studying, keep informed on the latest trend, technology, best practice, whatever, because I would think keep your eyes and ears open, because I'm sure there will be the opportunity at some point, and you'll be there to grab it, right? To take it. So no, it's a message of hope. I think it's been put on hold, but definitely you'll get a job in a couple of years. So if you are passionate and willing, to take this step.
Keyword that one as well, passionate. Yeah. So stay updated, watch the last trend, stay informed, and be passionate. Okay. Perfect. Good. That's really it from my side. So it's been a pleasure, Riccardo. Thank you very much for your time and all the information shared. I think it's going to be very useful especially for young talents. So again, thanks for your time, Riccardo Belfiore, Corporate Revenue Manager, Marbella Club, Puente Romano, The Lodge, and Nobu Hotel Marbella. Thanks for your time. Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you, Pablo. Cheers.
That was all for now. Hope you found it useful. Remember that you have more information on our website www.torresconsulting.co.uk, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and Twitter. Stay well. Goodbye for now.